And we're live. All right, perfect. How y'all doing? Hope you guys are doing good. I know it's been a very long time since we spoke. So, all right. So, uh, thank you once again for attending the stream. I'm still shocked that there are actual people here live. Like it's still actually shocking to me. But I'm super thankful. And so today, what I was thinking is we can continue from where we left off yesterday. I forgot how you sounded. Yeah, well, many such cases. Anyways, so yeah, so as I was saying, I was thinking we could continue from where we left off yesterday, just like making some really basic mechanics. And what I was thinking is this is first we're going to I'm gonna like go over a few of the things basically where we left off yesterday and do a few changes to the code because if you remember when the last thing we did is that the player basically when the player is jumping in the air and the player can attack because we had like the attack on the cooldown because I wanted to show you guys how to do like a timer. So when the attack is off cooldown, meaning the player can attack and the player is in the air, so the player jumped and is falling on top of an enemy, it made us bounce back and it did damage to the enemy. But then what we wanted is to also take damage from the enemy if we how can I say, if we take if we come in contact with the enemy when our attack isn't ready, or just come into contact with the enemy when we're not like above them, right? The thing is that it wasn't working the best, right? Like like it was technically working, but like we can polish it up a bit, right? Like we can make it work more properly. So I wanted to check that out in the first part of the stream, like fix a few bugs, stuff like that. Then I'm going to talk to you guys about my like the way I personally do game design. And so the second part of the stream is going to be more, it's going to be less Unity game dev and more just game development in general, specifically more game design and how I prefer doing game design, which is very different from how most people do game design. And when I say most people, I mean specifically in the industry. I'm not sure about like other solo developers and stuff like that. I know that in general, my way, like my philosophy and my way of doing things is fairly different from most people's. So I'm going to show you guys how I design games, and the idea is to show you my process so that you can develop your own process. You know what I mean? It's not to be like, oh, my way is the only way and like this is like the gospel or whatever. It's more so like this is how I do things, and take what you want from this method and develop your own method, right? And then in the last part, I'd like to like start adding a few more mechanics. If you guys have any suggestions, if you guys like have any ideas of what mechanics we could add to this tutorial, it would be appreciated basically. So yeah, so the first thing here before we start fixing bugs, I just wanted to show you guys like maybe 30 minutes before the stream, I just started fucking around and like adding a few things, and I wanted to show you guys this. So this cylinder here is it's just a cylinder, and I just wanted to test like a basic rotation script. So here I have my rotation test script. Over here it's like it's super simple, right? Like 3 lines of code, right? So here we have the rotation axis, which is basically like the vector 3. Oh, hold on, I forgot. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys can see better, because I always forget that like in real life, when it's zoomed out, it's really easy for me to read everything, but like on screen it's a bit more difficult, right? So I hope this is better. I think it's too early for us novices to dare for an idea that's actually relevant. Well, the point the point is not to come up with like the best game design ideas or whatever. It's more so to be like, so let's say one of you uh, would love to make some kind of shooter game, right? Or maybe even a tower defense game. Either way, if you're making a tower defense game, your towers shoot projectiles on the enemies. And if you're making like some kind of shooter game, well, you still need to shoot projectiles. But let's say one of you wants to make a tower defense game because that's very easy to visualize, right? Well, maybe you would like to know how to do a proper projectile mechanic, but you're not sure how. So maybe you'd be interested to tell me like, oh hey, could you like find a way to add a projectile mechanic in this project, right? This game dev tutorials project. And so I can show you how I would do projectiles, and from that you can learn, you know what I mean? That's more of the idea I'm going with when I'm asking you guys to, if you want to come up with certain mechanics I'd like to add. Because the thing is that like in the second part of the stream today, you're gonna see that the way I design games is very specific to my own tastes, right? And so if all I do is add mechanics that I'm interested in, those may or may not be what you guys are looking for. You know what I mean? And also the advantage of doing this in a live stream is that I can take your suggestions live, you know? So that's why I was hoping you guys would like be interested in like coming up with like basically giving me suggestions and stuff like that, right? So anyway, so back to what I was saying, like this is the really basic thing, right? It's like we have a vector 3 rotation axis, we have a rotation speed, and then we just like on update, so every frame we tell it to rotate based on the axis multiplied by the rotation speed and then multiplied by time.delta time to normalize it and make it consistent, right? And so the end result is going to be this, where it's rotating, right? Now, remember that every time I was talking about vectors, right? I'm using this gizmo here. So the vector on the y-axis is either up or down. The blue vector on the z-axis is either forward or backward. And the vector on the x-axis, the red one, is either right or left. But the thing is, if I press E, it's going to show me the rotation, right? So here you go. So now this is the x-axis for the rotation, this is the y, and this is the z, right? So as you can see, both the z and the x-axis for the rotation are vertical, and the y is the only one that's horizontal, when if we're doing movement, it's the opposite, right? So basically, here I have my rotation axis because I have the cylinder selected. So in the inspector, we can see I have the rotation axis with the variables, right? Like the two public variables here, right? And so here I have my axis, but at any point in time I can change it, right? Like I can press 0 here and press 1 here. And what it's going to do is that it's going to rotate like this, right? Which in game, we're not going to see anything. If I press play, you're basically not going to see anything in game, because it's, you see, like we're like, wait, is this thing really moving? I'm not sure, right? But here you can see it's actually moving, right? Now, if I change this to 0, it's not moving at all. If I change this to 1, now it's moving on the y-axis, right? If I change this, also Z on 1, now it's rotating like this, right? And now if I put 1 again, now it's rotating on all 3, right? So this is an example of how we can do some basic rotation. So maybe we can have like certain obstacles, like if I give it a trigger collider, or maybe even a normal collider here, we can have this. So let's just change it. Let's make it, no, not this here. Okay, perfect. And then let's rotate it on the x-axis. So now it should be spinning in place, right? And because its collider is not trigger, it's going to push us. See? Like we're having difficulty moving, right? Like that. Now, here's another thing I'm gonna do with it. Okay, I am going to revert it back to normal. And the x-axis is once again rotating. So now it's going to be flipping upside down constantly, right? Like that. And if I come here, you can see it's like pushing us, right? And it's like tipping us over, basically, you know? Like if I go like this, you see? It's like tipping us over. So I forgot who was saying this. I think it might have been Silver Sterling towards the end of yesterday's stream, but he was saying that jumping is fine until we add slopes, and slopes start making things much more difficult, right? So let me just create real quick a slope. I'm gonna click, I've selected the plane and I'm going to click Control D to duplicate, right? Let's put it here. And now let's move it here like that, right? Let's do a 30-degree slope, right? Like that. All right. And now let's go jump over that slope to show you guys. See how weird it is? Yeah, so slopes are a big problem, okay? Slopes fuck things up. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Like if you look at the player, see the cube is like bouncing around. We don't want that, right? Because now like everything gets fucked up, basically, you know? So one way of fixing this, okay, is to go down here. We have our two box colliders. We have our normal box collider and our trigger box collider here. And basically what's happening is that, hold on, let me just press play here and I'm going to show you exactly what's happening. Like that. I'm going to move this up and then drop it really quickly on here. And because we have our rigid body, which is what allows gravity to affect the cube, it's what allows a bunch of stuff to happen, right? And we have our normal box collider. If it was a trigger collider and I dropped it, it would just go through the plane. But because we also have the normal collider here, it's actually going to work with normal physics, right? That's why it's going to bounce around and stuff, right? So what's going to happen here, I've disabled gravity temporarily. I'm going to move it up here. And when I re-enable gravity, it's going to start falling. And it's basically going to like a ragdoll in a sense, right? So now I've enabled gravity. And you see it's moving like a normal cube, basically, right? So now if I try to move it while having gravity enabled, there you go. See? It's a bit weirder, basically, right? So what we want for it not to be bouncing around is here we can go constraints and we can freeze a bunch of things, right? So if I were to freeze all three of these, oh, hold on. I'm gonna press play. Now they're all frozen. Hold on, like that. See, now it's not moving because its position is frozen. If I unfreeze Y, it's gonna fall, but it's never going to move forward, backward, right, or left, right? See? Now, if I uncheck Z, it's going to start sliding down. Or actually, if I uncheck X, nothing's happening, right? Because gravity is pulling it backwards. If I uncheck Z, well, actually, yeah, it's not going to slide because it's not made to slide. It's angular damping. I think this is what we need. Hold on. Or maybe not. I'm not sure. Anyways, there's a whole like friction thing. Maybe is it a mass thing? I don't remember. Yeah. Okay. There you go. See, now it's kind of like being affected and whatnot, right? So all of this to say is that if we don't want our cube to be basically tipping over and losing its balance and stuff like that, we can freeze the X and Z, because remember, those are the two horizontal ones, but we keep the Y normal so that it can, or rather the X and Z are the two vertical ones. Let me go back here. Hold on. Like here, X and Z are the two vertical rotations. So we're freezing these two, right? We're freezing the rotation on the X and Z, but we're keeping the Y because the Y is the horizontal one. So we want our player to be able to turn around, right? To still be able to rotate sideways, basically, right? So there you go. So now I can still rotate sideways, right? Also, I've added code that makes it so that the legs now rotate based on which direction we're moving in, you know? So now if I go here, they're rotating. If I go here, it's rotating like that, etc., you know? And the thing is, if I then freeze Y, well, this is still working, right? But basically, hold on, let me go into the scene. Basically, because it's, well, actually, hold on. Let's go like that. Let me see. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So basically, freezing on the Y doesn't really have that much of an issue, because the way I coded it in the first place is that the cube itself doesn't rotate. All I'm rotating are these visual things, right? So that's why actually freezing the Y in this case doesn't change anything. But typically, if I was making the player manager itself rotate rather than the torso and the legs individually, then freezing the Y would prevent it from rotating properly, basically. I hope this has been clear so far, right? So with this in mind, if now we try to jump over there, right? See, now we're not like tumbling around and stuff, right? See, now as I'm, there you go. And now as you can see, oftentimes I have to spam the space bar before being able to jump, because the way we've coded it to detect whether I'm grounded or not, it starts acting weird in slopes. Because remember, the way I coded, let's go back into the code. Here, the player manager code. There you go. Yeah, this is the rotate the legs towards. This is the script I've made that makes the legs follow the direction in which we're moving. And again, as you can see, the X and Z axes are put at 0 for this the target Euler angle, so that only the Y axis, which for the rotation is the only horizontal one, only this one ends up turning around, right? So there you go. And this is again like, this is the target towards which, no, this is what's going to rotate. This is the target towards which it's going to rotate. This is the speed at which it's going to rotate, multiplied by time dot delta time to normalize it, to make sure it's what you call it, it's consistent, right? And all I did was just add this line of code here, which is whenever the player presses forward, do the rotate legs towards function or whatever. And here we have, in the parentheses, we have this temporary variable of flat forward vector 3, which if you remember yesterday, it's this vector 3, this temporary vector 3 that I've created in order to make the torso rotate vertically, basically like to rotate vertically and horizontally, except on the y axis, which is the horizontal one. Whatever, it's weird, but watch the stream yesterday if you're confused. Like, I explained it better there, right? But basically, we're taking the same temporary vector 3 and we're adding it to this function here, which again, here in parentheses, I've created a temporary variable called target direction. So what we're doing, so remember, because this flat forward vector 3 variable is temporary, it ceases to exist the moment we're done with this function, right? So all we're doing is, while this is existing, we're taking its value and we're using it here for this line of code. And then we're once again taking its value and we're assigning this thing's value to this temporary variable, which only exists inside of this function here, right? So that's why this works. That's why there are no issues with this line of code and like this whole function and stuff, right? So yeah, this is the code that works here. And as I was saying before, the way we've coded it, or whether we are moving upwards, we are grounded, or we are falling, is based on the velocity, right? Which is like, are we moving up? Like basically, is the position, are the coordinates for the position on the y-axis greater than they used to be, then we're moving upwards. Are they neither greater or lesser, meaning they're the same as they were the previous frame, then we're grounded. And here it's are they moving down, then that means we're falling. Now the problem with the slope is that on the slope we're not jumping, right? We're not airborne, but hold on. But if you look closely here on the right now we're grounded, right? The moment I start walking up the slope, it's gonna say we're moving upwards. See, or falling. You see what I mean? Like we're neither grounded nor moving. So that's why, like, if I try to get up the slope and I spam space, nothing's happening. Now I can jump, right? And then if I move backwards and I'm spamming space, it's not working, right? There you go. Now I hit I hit the enemy, right? So that's why I like flew off like that, right? And this is the bug I want to fix, right? Hold on. There you go. All right. So what I'm thinking of doing here, okay, is let's look at, okay, is jumping. So when we press spacebar, is jumping equals true, right? And then we do the add force. As I said, here we have like this thing where we calculate the jump force. Then we have the add force. This here is it's irrelevant now anymore, so we're just gonna delete it, and we're going to delete the variables here because we're not using them anymore. These two, I'm also not using them. Or no, wait, I am. Never mind. I am using these. I was about to make a mistake. All right. So when we press spacebar and we are grounded, we can jump, right? So when is jumping is true, it shoots us up in the air, which here it detects that basically we're going up, right? Our position, basically our velocity on the y-axis is above 0, which means that it's going up, which means that we are moving upwards, right? And what is, hold on, let me see. So if I want to see every instance where this is jumping is present in my script, all I do is highlight it and then do Control F, and it's going to show me every instance of is jumping. It's going to be in brown, basically. So is jumping is here, let's say, here like that. I press here on the find next. Okay, find next. Find next, find next. Then here. Here, okay, and that's it. Okay. Okay, right. And this is where it's false. Okay, so hold on. So is airborne. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna try to do to make this work, okay? What I'm thinking of doing is here we have is jumping, is moving upwards, is grounded, is falling. What I'm gonna do is add another public boolean, and I'm going to say is airborne, okay? There you go. And what I'm going to do here, so it's by default on false, okay, perfect. What I'm going to do is when the player presses spacebar or whatever, right? We're going here we go, player vertical movement, there you go. Here we're going to do is airborne equals true. So again, we pressed space, right? Like we pressed space. So long as we are grounded, it now says that we are jumping. If is jumping equals true, so if jumping is true, then calculate the jump force and then apply the force of type impulse to our main rigid body, which is going to shoot us up in the air. But then also say that is airborne equals true. And all I'm gonna do here is if we're going to add another thing up here. So this detects, this updates the player's airborne status the moment the player becomes grounded again. So what I'm going to do is if is grounded equals true. Hold on, let me redo this. If parentheses is grounded equals true and is airborne equals true. So you can't be on the ground and be airborne, that doesn't make any sense. Then is airborne equals false. Okay, so rather no, okay, so this resets, we're gonna say resets. This resets the player's airborne status the moment the player becomes grounded again. And so then what we're going to do is right here, hold on, is not exactly, this is what this here it's is moving upwards equals true, and okay, yeah. Okay, I remember now. Okay, there you go. I had a bit of a brain fart. I basically forgot what I figured out I was gonna do like 2 minutes ago. Now I remember. So now here we're going to add to this if statement and to this one, right? Or rather to this one and this one. Now that we have something that controls when we're airborne and when we're not, now we're going to add, here we open up a parentheses and like that. And inside of here, the other condition we're going to do is airborne equals true. There you go. So now we can just open up. Oh, fuck, I did this on the wrong side. Anyways, that's fine. We're going to do this like that. Then here we're going to remove this. Okay, there you go. We're going to add, there you go. Okay, so what this means now is that whenever we're moving upwards, basically, while also being airborne, only this is going to, oh, what the fuck? There you go. Only in this instance is moving upwards going to be true, such is falling going to be true as well, right? So now let's test this out, right? Let's press play, and let's look here on the right. Now it says we're grounded, and let's go up the slope and see if it's going to say that we're moving upwards or that we're falling. Okay, there you go. But see, now it's exactly. So now, while we're moving, it's saying that we're not grounded while we're moving. But if I stop moving, then I'm grounded, right? So now the way to fix this is to just add this line of code here and here. So now what this means is, if we're moving, like basically if our current position is higher even by a single unit than it was the last frame, and we're airborne, that means we're moving upwards. But if we're not airborne, or this basically if either of these aren't true, then we're clearly not moving upwards, but we are grounded, right? And the same thing here, except for the opposite. If we're not moving downward while being airborne, then we're not falling, but we are grounded. But if we're moving downwards and we're airborne, then this, right? So now let's see if it's going to tell us that we're grounded or not. There you go. So now we're perfectly grounded whichever way we go, right? There you go. Now, if you've noticed, when I'm moving backwards, it's almost like I'm jumping, right? That's because my movement is done horizontally, right? And because the slope is, hold on, because the slope is diagonal, right? Hold on, let me just do it like that. There you go. So as you can see here, because we're moving with a cube, only this tiny little part is touching, and that counts as us being grounded, right? So instead of having a cube collider, what we're going to change this to is a capsule collider. So let's go back here like that. All right, and now these are all the proper size. So remove component. Then we're going to do a capsule collider, and we're going to add another capsule collider. And this, we're going to move it down again just to keep things move down. The pod. Yep. All right. So hold on. So now this looks like a sphere, right? And if I were to add a sphere collider here, right? The sphere collider looks the exact same as the capsule colliders, you know? but that's because those capsule colliders are like oh my god, what's the word? They're basically made smaller, right? Here, if you look, their radius is smaller, right? And their height also. So if I were to increase the height, see, now they look like actual capsules, right? Meanwhile, if I were to increase the radius here on the sphere collider, I don't even have a height variable. But if I were to increase the radius, see, it's an actual sphere, right? So we're going to remove the sphere collider. Oh, Jesus. We're going to remove the sphere collider. And then this capsule is going to be a trigger. This one is going to be normal, right? So hold on. So let's do it at 2. There you go. So remember, this thing here is the hips. And this part here, let me just take a screenshot. It's going to be easier for me to show it. Basically like that, right? This here, okay, this here are the legs. And hold on. And this here, right, is the torso, right? We're going to have the capsule collider be a bit larger just in order to simulate, let's say, the head and the actual feet or legs or whatever, right? Because these are like the hips, more like. And now it's like when we're on the slope and we're moving backwards, it's probably still going to make us like push us off, but it's probably going to look a bit less jarring, ever so slightly, right? So let's see here, like that. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so it's still doing this, and that's because it's like weird. Again, this is why slopes are just a pain in the ass, right? So this is why you want to generally avoid slopes, you know? But we can jump without issue, you know? There you go. There you go, there you go, there you go. Like that. And then if I were to come here, now it's pushing us up again, right? So now let's fix this last bug, which is like when we're moving. So basically here I'm going to attack the enemy and it bounced us up, right? Let's see, can we attack? Okay, now we can attack. There you go. All right. So now we've attacked. And now if I do this, it's still shooting us up, right? When what we wanted is for it to shoot us backwards, right? There we go. So what I realized, like I was thinking about this last night, while taking a shit, because that's where all the best ideas come from. Basically what I realized is that the way we coded this, okay, is that the moment the player character collides with the enemy, it's shooting us up, right? With these two lines, it's automatically shooting us up, right? Whereas if we like collide with the enemy, but like either we can't attack yet, or we're falling, or rather we're not falling, or our position isn't like basically we're not above the enemy, right? Any of these three, then is going to push us backwards, right? So instead, what I'm going to do is simply grab this, right? And let's say move it here. So let's just nullify these two lines. Let's copy this. So enemy, or rather player deals damage to enemy, then make the player bounce off of current enemy. Deals damage to current enemy. There you go. All right, so let's see. Let's see if this is gonna work now. All right. Because as you noticed, no matter which side I collided with the enemy from, it was always shooting us up, right? And that's why, right? So now, okay, see? Now it's like actually pushing backwards, you know? There you go. So hold on. If I remember correctly, we get pushed back based on the enemy force. Now let's see. I think the enemy force, I think Carmelo's strength, yeah, enemy force is really low. So let's up it to 10 and see how that is. Because he's not angry enough. Yeah, there you go. Jesus Christ. All right, there you go. All right, so once again, like it's causing a bunch of problems, right? Hold on. Let's temporarily disable the cylinder. Let's look at this again, right? All right, let's see. There you go, see? Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Hold on, let's just move the player a bit higher. 1.5 and then do -4 like that. I like having clean values. All right. There you go. Ooh, there you go. All right. And then can we attack yet? Okay, now we can attack. Oof. Okay, so we missed the attack. Okay, hold on. Okay, we missed the attack again. Okay, interesting. So now once again, okay, there you go. Ah! Woo! All right. So yeah, so now what's happening is that it's not reading our attack because once again, having both of these things together, for whatever reason, it's causing like a disruption. Like basically this doesn't go through, right? So that's interesting. So what's the cause of the issue here, right? Because again, this is what I mean when I say that like colliding using these things can be a bit problematic. Okay, but hold on. So now what we're doing is we have the player deals damage, right? And then this becomes false. So we never even reach this line. So this probably doesn't even happen as well. So this whole thing doesn't get detected, right? So can attack bool is falling equals true. Well, let's see. Did the changes we make to how it detects falling, did that affect anything? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you see now I'm pressing space and it's neither saying that I'm airborne, nor that I'm moving upwards, nor that I'm, yeah, and now I can move, yeah, I can spam jump. Okay. So basically the code that we added, where did I add it? Here, it broke our attack system. So let's look, okay? When is jumping is true, this becomes true. If is grounded is true, and is airborne is true, then this automatically becomes false. And because this automatically becomes false, this is also false, and then this is also always false. So maybe what we're going to do is add one condition here Um, is jumping equals false. Okay, so let's test out to see if this is going to work. So now the idea is that in the one frame where this is true, this becomes false, which allows this to remain true, which allows us to detect this and this again. This is in theory. Now let's see in practice if my logic is sound and if this works, right? Okay, yeah, it's still not working. Okay, so this solution didn't work. Okay, so now instead, let's see. Let's remove this for a split second here, and now is grounded equals false, and then this equals true. So let's see. Okay, let's do it like that. And now we're looking, now we're grounded. Nope, it's still not happening. Yeah, because we're permanently grounded. Okay, so that is also not the solution. So instead, hold on. Let's do this like that, just for a second. So this is true. Bam, bam, bam. So instead of doing it like this, what I can do is simply take this line of code here and put it here. Or actually, no. This is what I'm going to do. If is airborne equals true. There you go. Checks, exactly, checks just for an instant, and that's not good enough, right? Okay, so now basically we moved, instead of doing this, what we did is we took this part and this and we moved it all here, right? So now it's compiling. Let's see. All right. I think now it should work, but I'm not sure, right? No, once again, what the fuck? Now it's moving upwards. Now it's falling. Huh. Okay, hold on. Is moving upwards. See, again, this is why jumping is way more complicated than it looks, especially in 3D games. In 2D games, it's a bit simpler. But also, this is why you get games like the original God of War that had jumping, and then the modern God of War like 2018 and whatever, where I remember in an older stream I showed that like you don't have any real jumping sections, right? All of the quote-unquote jumping in that game is like quick time events where like there's a gap in the ground or whatever, and you press circle and you just jump through it, right? So hold on. Okay, so if is grounded. So the logic here is, and again, like this I'm showing you guys how I fix bugs in order to already give you an idea of like, okay, this is how we retrace our steps and we try out different solutions until we find some sort of logic that works without breaking some of our other mechanics. Because that's the thing with video games. It's like sometimes you're going to add even one tiny line of code and it's going to break something else, right? Because you didn't properly think things through, right? So what we have here is we have an is airborne, right? So the moment we press is jumping, this becomes true, right? And at that point, what I can do is airborne and moving upwards or falling. So what I'm going to do here is as follows. I'm going to do if is airborne equals true. And then what we're going to do is if main rigid body dot linear velocity dot y is greater than 0, that means we're going up, then is moving upwards is true. Otherwise, is moving upwards is false. And then we're just gonna copy this here like that. Player is airborne and moving upwards. Player is airborne and falling. There you go. We're going to remove this. We're going to remove this. We're going to remove this. Okay. So now let's just temporarily erase this here. Let's temporarily erase this. Like, well, erase, nullify, like, yeah, turn it off. There you go. I don't think this is the proper solution, but I just want to see how it works now. So now it says we're grounded. Now it's neither. Okay, so now at least the good thing is that when we're jumping, it's not telling us that we're grounded anymore. So that's already the first issue fixed. Now what we need to do is for it to properly detect when we're moving up, right? So is airborne. All right, there you go. So once again, let's look up every instance of this. Okay, so if blah, 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 then is grounded is true. Okay, so now, oh, hey, Silver. I hope church went well. As I was saying, I'm just going to recap to you what I said at the very beginning of the stream. The first part is going to be me like fixing bugs like that here and stuff like that. Then the second part is going to be me explaining to you guys what my game design philosophy is, how I generally go about designing video games. And then the third part, if we have time, well, we should have time for at least a little bit of it, is we're going to be adding like 1 or 2 new mechanics just to see like how things are working, right? Like and to slowly start adding more and more mechanics and making this game more fun. And ideally, I'd like for you guys to give me suggestions of yeah, exactly. Like right now I'm showing why slopes are a fucking pain in the ass, right? And the idea I had was you guys, if you want, could give me suggestions of certain mechanics you'd like to see me try to make, so that way we can learn together. Well, learn together. It's mostly you guys who are going to be learning how to do these specific mechanics, or at least look at the way I go about doing these mechanics, right? Okay, so now when we're jumping, it detects that we're not airborne, but basically this is never true. So neither of these are getting detected. So now the issue is clearly that this, even though I put it to true here, it never stays true, right? Okay, so we don't have any instances of this here. We have this here. Okay, so in other words, so long as is grounded is true, and if this is true, then it becomes false. So clearly this line of code is what's fucking us. So let's just remove this and see what happens. All right. All right, so we're grounded, is airborne. Okay. Okay, perfect. So now the last thing we need is to disable is airborne. Uh, else, what if I did this? If is falling is also false, then we can do is airborne equals false, and then do the opposite here. So if is moving upwards is also false. Now let's see if this is going to fix it. I think it might. And again, right now we're doing like really basic stuff, right? Imagine once you're making a complex game with a bunch of mechanics and a bunch of variables and like different ways of jumping and maybe even a double jump or whatever. Like, bruh. Breaking shit becomes super fucking easy. Alright. So now we're grounded. Oh, yeah, there you go. Alright. Alright. So once again, this is causing an issue. Also false. God damn it. Or actually, hold on. Maybe I had the right idea. So maybe what I could do here is then do this. If is moving upwards. So hold on. If is airborne true and moving upwards equals false, and is falling is also false. God damn it. I hate this. Okay, let's rewrite it. I'm a big perfectionist, so whenever I see the lines not being proper, I like redo it. Okay, so let's say if is airborne is true and is moving upwards is false, and is falling is also false. There you go. Then is airborne also false. There you go. I feel like this is also not gonna work, but I want to try. Yeah. God fucking damn it. All right. God. Okay, so if we remove this, it's probably not going to change anything. Yeah. All right. So let's. So this isn't the issue. So now let's do is grounded. So let's add this and see. Nope. Bruh, I'm fucking losing my mind. This is how fixing bugs can be a pain in the ass, right? Something so fucking simple and you just want to fucking shoot yourself, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So let's say, so how does this go about? If our linear velocity dot y is not 0, then this becomes false. just for fun, what if I put this false? Oh well, that's all I needed. Okay, there you go. Now it's working. Amazing. The one thing I was like, no, this would never work. This isn't the solution. Jesus, bro. All right. So now that we've fixed this, because here's a reminder, we did all of this because this shit wasn't working, right? Because it wasn't able to detect when is falling is true, right? So all of this we did so that we can now start to see if this has been fixed, right? Jesus Christ. Spent more time fixing bugs in this demo than Bethesda did for Oblivion. Well, listen, I try my best. Unlike Bethesda, clearly. Okay. Okay, so did it detect? No, okay, it didn't detect. Okay, so now it detected the attack. So let's see the test enemy. Okay, it took damage. But now it barely sent us up. Let's see again. Okay, now we can attack again. And I think this might have something to do with the fact that we're using a capsule collider. Maybe. Let's add a box collider and another box collider and make this one a trigger, right? And then these two. Oh, I'm fucking stupid. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Before we fuck around with different colliders, my trigger, its height is set to 2, but I never changed this thing's height, the other one's height. So now they're both at 2 because look, this one was at 1, so we had both of these things. Jesus Christ. This is why it was kind of, well, maybe this is why. I'm not sure. There you go. All right. Bethesda sisters. All right, hold on. Aha. All right. Hold on. Okay, now it's... Ah! Fuck. Hold on. Okay, so we did take damage, I believe, because our HP went from... Hold on. Let's test it again. Yeah, we still took damage, but I assume Carmelo also took damage, yeah. Make the plane a bit bigger. Yeah, I'm gonna make the plane a bit bigger. There you go. There you go. All right. OP Carmel. Listen. What you gonna do about it, huh? Shit. All right. So let's see now. Why is it kind of detecting that we're taking damage, but not doing the jump? Let's put this in front just to see if it's gonna have any difference. It's going to make any difference. we still took damage. Did he take damage? He took damage. All right, but it didn't properly make us bounce off his head, right? The way we used to do. Yeah. It's always pushing us back, right? Now if I do this here, hold on. Yeah. So this hits us with a full force. Hold on. Oh, I'm stupid. Hold on. Let's change this to 2.5. Yeah. Okay, so clearly something's up here. So if I were... So here it adds a force equal to... Yeah, it pushes us backwards, right? And we receive damage. Here we do damage and it does detect damage, but it doesn't shoot us up properly. Let's see if instead of doing this, we do this like that. Is that going to change something? We're gonna test this last thing, and if it doesn't work, then we're gonna move on, because I don't want to spend like all stream doing this. Yeah, it's still not working. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna look at this some other time. Okay. So now let's go to part 2 of today's stream, where I wanna basically, it's gonna be very brief, probably like 5 or 10 minutes, whatever. But it's basically I'm gonna explain to you guys how I go about designing games, and it's very different from other people, right? It depends on the person, but basically, what I enjoy in video games, the reason why I enjoy video games is because to me it's like the best medium, the best form of media to tell stories in, right? And the thing is that the story doesn't need to be anything grandiose, it doesn't need to be the deepest thing in the world or whatever, right? It's more so like an experience, because I guess story isn't the right word for it. It's a better word for it would be experience, right? Like, what kind of experience are you trying to give to the player, right? Like when you're listening to a type of music, right? They're trying to create an experience using the medium of music, right? When you're watching a movie, they are trying to create an experience based on the movie that you're watching. So if it's a horror movie, it's to scare you. If it's a comedy, it's to make you laugh. If it's a drama, it's to make you cry, etc., right? And the way I see games is that it's the exact same thing, but it's the best one of all of these, because it combines all of these while also allowing the player to actually interact with the experience and the story that's happening, right? And so that's why a lot of people box themselves in to specific genres, right? So I'm gonna give you an example, okay? The company I was working for at around 2018, 2019, before deciding to go full indie and to try and make my own video game and everything, we were making a multiplayer game, right? In which Players had a melee attack and a so let me just paint. There you go. There you go. So yeah. So hold on. Like that. So we had okay. So all players had the same melee and ranged attacks. Okay. Let's just make this a bit smaller. There you go. Okay. Players could choose. Oh, Jesus, bro. What is this? You're breaking me. You're fucking killing me here. Okay, players could choose from 3 different abilities. Okay. We had a selection of maybe, I don't know, like 10 or so abilities, but you can only use 3 of them at a time per match or per game or whatever, right? And back then, like, I was one of the testers, but I was studying game design at a school, right? And the company I was working at, they knew that I was a game design student, and then eventually I became like a full employee there and everything. But because they didn't have the budget and for a bunch of other reasons, they basically had one main game designer because it was a small company of like 30 or so people. They had one, let's say, lead game designer, and then everybody else on the team would pitch in from time to time, right? Based on a bunch of different things. And one of the things that that at some point we started brainstorming about was how to make the gameplay that I just wrote down. So all players have one melee attack, one ranged attack, and they can choose. They can use 3 abilities at a time. How can we spice this up and make it more diverse, right? Like, how can we diversify this gameplay to make it more interesting, right? And the number of times, because our game wasn't like a first-person shooter or anything like that, right? It wasn't a hero shooter either, nothing like that, right? And the number of times that we suggested something, like one of us suggested a mechanic, right, that had a lot of potential and was very fun, but it immediately got shut down because, well, no, Overwatch did that. And we're thinking to ourselves, okay, but first of all, we're not Overwatch, like, we're not making a game like Overwatch. And number 2, it's like, who gives a shit if Overwatch has already done it? If it's a good mechanic, it's a good mechanic. You know what I mean? So this is one example. So here I'm gonna show, right? So lots of game designers prize originality over fun, right? So it's like, yeah, but it's not original. Yeah, but Overwatch has done it already, or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Like jumping, nah, Super Mario already did that. Exactly. And it's exactly as you're saying, Russian. It's like there's no drive to experiment, to explore, to like try new things, right? Because the thing is, yeah, maybe on paper the suggestion the guy made of like taking a specific mechanic, I think the mechanic he was talking about was to add, because remember, like, we had one of the 3 abilities. The guy was like, well, maybe we can have an ability that allows this was 2018, 2019, so that was right when Overwatch was still huge, right? Overwatch had been out for like 2 or 3 years, so it was right before they announced Overwatch 2, and it was right before COVID, and it was when Overwatch was like the big thing, right? And it was right around the time where like Fortnite became big, right? And so um, like what the guy said was again, it's like what one of my coworkers suggested was like, oh well, you know, we could have like an ability, because reminder, we had like three different abilities. So we had like let me just open Paint again. You have like one ability, another, and another. That, I think that if I remember correctly, that's how they were, right? Like you have your HUD, like I don't know, like your HP bar. Let me just, no, the brush size. Okay, there you go. You have like your HP bar here, your, oh, god damn it, your mana bar or whatever. I don't even remember if you had mana, but whatever. Let's say you have this, and then you have like ability 1, ability 2, ability 3, right? Something like that, right? And the guy suggested like, oh well, you know, maybe you could have like a jetpack ability like Farah does in Overwatch, where like you can kind of fly for a momentary amount of time, and like you have a type of fuel or a stamina bar or whatever, right? I was like, yeah, but no, they've done that in Overwatch. Someone else suggested like, oh, maybe you could have like some sort of knockback ability or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but like this game has done it or whatever, right? Maybe you could have this. And so basically, our ideas kept getting shut down, and the argument wasn't always like, oh, this game did it or that game did it, but it's just oftentimes it was like, oh no, they've done it in this game or in this other one, and we're like, okay, but who gives a shit, right? And maybe our suggestion on paper sounds cool, but then like we implement it in the game and it's like, oh, this isn't actually fun, right? So like, oh, we're not gonna do this, right? Well, most game developers are excuses experts. Red herring. And basically what ended up happening is this is one example, but another example that I have is that oftentimes, not every time, but oftentimes when I would be working on school projects with some of my classmates, because again, we're all studying in a game design program, right? Where we have to do game design, level design, and a bunch of other shit, right? And so, like, let's say we have a project to do and we're all brainstorming ideas and everything, and someone would propose an idea that just like didn't make any sense, or like, you know, it's like, oh well, I don't think this is gonna fit with our vision for the game or whatever, and they would get really offended, and they would be like, why are you denigrating my ideas, why are you like insulting my ideas over there? And it's like, well, I'm not insulting anybody, right? Like, why are you insulting me, stuff like that? And it's like, I'm not insulting anybody, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but it's just like this mechanic isn't going to work for our game, right? Like one of our projects was to do a yeah, exactly, basically people were very immature, right? And and the like for instance, like we have a project where we have to do a first person shooter, and someone wants some sort of platforming mechanic, and it's like, well, I'm sorry, but our like the first person shooter we're doing is very static. Like we're kind of like a tank, right? Like we're just moving from point A to point B, and we're not jumping. None of the enemies are jumping. Nothing in the game is vertical. It's very similar to Doom: The Dark Ages, right? And the guy wanted something that resembles more like something else, right? And again, like this is just an example I'm making up, but it's just to give you an idea of like well, this doesn't work, right? And they take it personally, right? And a bunch of other shit like that, right? So this is one problem that a lot of designers have. But then another problem that is very prevalent in the industry. Holy shit, I'm like spacing out. I was about to say it and it just escaped my mind. So we had the like, they don't want to they prize originality over fun. Take things too personal, and now I just remembered it. Okay, so let's change this to blue, or no, actually let's keep it red because it's bad, like communism. And then another thing that a lot of people design, but this one, let's put it in orange because it's not necessarily a bad thing. Or actually, yeah, let's put it in blue because it's not a good or bad thing. It's just a way of designing things. It's focusing on gameplay. Or actually, I'm gonna put this red because me personally, I don't think this is a good thing, right? Focusing on gameplay or story to the detriment of the experience. Okay, so now what do I mean by this? Okay, it's that a lot of people either focus way too much on the story, and so you end up with basically a visual novel, which in my opinion aren't real video games. They're just they're barely interactive books with pictures, right? I personally don't consider them video games, but clearly Steam disagrees, but whatever. And then you have the other complete end of the spectrum, which is like it's entirely focused on gameplay, not necessarily to the detriment of the story, but to the detriment of the experience, right? And this is something that I really want to like make clear. It's that there's a difference between gameplay, story, and experience. Okay, the gameplay is, this is how I'm going to explain it, feel free to disagree, but basically the gameplay is how the player, so let's open up another paint, there you go, let's put it like that. So gameplay is how the player interacts with the game. Okay. Story is let's say what happens in the game, and then let's say experience, the experience, and again, this is, I'm not like, this isn't set in stone, this isn't the word of God or whatever, this is just how I see things, right? So again, like, feel free to disagree, but this is just how I visualize things and think of things, right? And the experience is, so let's say gameplay, let's do it, well, no, okay, let's do it red, story, let's do it blue, and then the experience, let's do it green. And the experience is what the player experiences via the gameplay and the story, right? And so this is the thing. Me personally, the way I design games is based on what experience am I trying to create, right? So what experience am I trying to create, right? So okay, the gameplay and the story. There you go, right? So what kind of experience am I trying to create? And so to me, as I said, you don't need to have a game with the deepest gameplay. Today, you expect the game not only to have good gameplay, but also to give you a reason for caring about what you do. Well, exactly. That's a very good point, right? And that's the thing. It's because it's like, let's take, hold on, Halo, well, YouTube. I'm a virgin at 26. Okay, good for you. I want you to what? I'm almost tempted to do not interested, but this might be a meme, so I'm not sure. How to make money as a woman. Bro, what the fuck is this algorithm? Oh my god. When you forgot what mods you added. Okay, let's look at this. I feel like the algorithm keeps giving me bait. What the fuck? This is so stupid.
Why are you helping me?
Show me your arm. Come on. I won't bite. Well, not hard.
Bruh. Oh, Jesus. Alright. You got some splain to this, or what have you been watching? Bro, I don't even know. Like, what the fuck is this? Don't recommend me the channel. What the fuck is this? Let's look.
What are you doing? Did she mute her mic? Dude, genius. Yeah, she's gonna be like, oh my god, guys, what did I do yesterday on my stream? Oh my
I
god.
fucking love you. I want you to.
What the fuck is this? No. What the fuck is this? Not interested. Yeah, well, this is probably just some whatever. Bro, this fuck. My blood toxicity went up just from this fucking cringe. This was funny. These two, no. Tell us why. There you go. Bro. Fuck your red herring. I'm being subverted. Jesus. I don't even understand. I barely ever go on this channel. What the fuck? Like the only basically up until yesterday, it was showing me stuff like Unity VFX demos and like other game dev stuff like that, and maybe like some God of War stuff. Like it might have something to do with the fucking Last of Us. Yeah, Ellie. See, Ellie. It's the first thing that fucking appears. It has to do with that. It has to do with yesterday's fucking Ellie video we watched. Bro, that shit fucking corrupted my fucking algorithm. That's crazy. Yeah, it fucking cursed my recommended. Bro, this fucking... Bro, hold on. Comes out, yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. Ew. Hold on. Hold on. This is vile. This is just... Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, bro. Oh, Jesus. She's so hard to look at. Oh, my God. Oh, hold on. Or maybe... Bruh. Fucking cursed. Oh, Jesus. Alright. Let's get back on topic. I hate rats. Amazing. Alright, so... Yeah, so, for instance, like Halo. The experience in Halo, so right here it's like, to me, what experience means is gameplay plus story, right? You have a game like Halo that has a lot of gameplay and a lot of story, right? Like if we take the first Halo, so Halo 1, playthrough, let's say, right? Halo full game. Blah, blah, blah. So it starts with the cutscene and everything. Again, amazing music, amazing visuals. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about experience, right? So there's no gameplay here. You're just watching a cutscene. But immediately, like we're gonna watch maybe the first minute of this, right? And I want you to focus on the vibe, right? Like, could you accept such a precedent as there were much of back in the day to have the story nowadays within a different kind of medium for a game, like a booklet / manual that came with the game? Well, that's the thing. Like back in the day, because again, like I was born in '96, so I grew up right around the end of the golden age. The golden age, in my opinion, was the '90s and the 2000s for video games, and let's say up to 2012, let's say, right? But basically, I grew up with like Halo 1 is. This is also why I made the rant video about Bungie and Marathon. It's because Halo 1 is the game that made video games go from a hobby that I would play once in a while to holy shit, I'm passionate about video games now. Like, I want to one day work in this, right? Halo 1 is the game that did this for me, right? And later on, I discovered Warcraft 3, which just made my passion even greater, right? Like, basically, my top 3 games for me are so Halo 1, Combat Evolved, right? Absolute fucking banger, right? This level, amazing, right? Just chef's kiss, right? Even well, get the fuck out. Even everything was amazing, right? Then there another game was Zelda the Minish Cap, which introduced me to RPGs, and this game is also fucking amazing. It is so fucking underrated. It's such a good game, and the pixel art is better than most things we see even nowadays. And this game came out Lord knows when. When did it come out? Let's see. In 2004, so it came out 21 years ago, right? Just to give you an idea, right? This game is fucking amazing, and it had so many fucking secrets in it, right? I 100%ed this game, right? It's amazing. And then my favorite game of all time is Warcraft 3, not Reforged. Fuck Reforged. Warcraft 3 original, right? Hold on, not fucking Reforged, bro. No, this is once again Reforged. Ah, there you go. Chef's kiss. Look at this, right? Because when you look at these graphics from close up, like here, they don't look that good, right? But this again is the power of art style. It like when you look at it from afar, right? The further away you look, the better it looks, right? The ever so more consistent it looks, right? Like these are the old graphics. I'm pretty sure. Reforged was so bad that Blizzard changed its refund policy. Yeah, exactly. You know, like well, no, okay, these aren't the OG graphics here. No, this is probably the StarCraft 2 remake. Yeah. But still, looks really fucking good, right? Yeah, this is Reforged here. Fuck that, right? So, anyways, all of this big tangent to say. Exactly, made by man, not machines. Soul, but this is the point I'm making, right? It's that the experience is basically the soul of the game, right? So the experience is the soul of the game, right? So let's do this like that, green, and then this like that, right? And this is the thing. It's like this is the reason why games nowadays don't have soul. It's because people don't care about the experience, right? They either neglect the gameplay in service of a story. But the thing is, if the gameplay isn't compelling, why play a video game? Why not just watch a movie? or read a book or listen to a song or whatever, right? And if there's only gameplay but no story, well then what's the point, right? Like you're like going to a casino. A casino to me is a real life video game without the story, without any of the context, the flavor, etc., right? And so I'm going to give you a bunch of examples of video games that in my opinion create a very good experience, but what the fuck is this? Not interested. What's causing toxic masculinity? Not interested. Why are you recommending me this stupid shit, bro? I don't care about Andrew Tate. I don't care about Moist. Jesus. Anyways, so back on topic. So, what was I saying? The game. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna show you a bunch of different games that create a very compelling experience, but they have varying degrees of story and gameplay, right? Because the idea is, in order to give soul to your game, right, to create a proper experience, you don't need to have 50% story, 50% gameplay, right? And again, story is very vague. Like, we should put this in quotation marks, right? Because everybody knows what gameplay is, but the story, that's a bit more nebulous, right? And the thing is that basically, actually, instead of doing story, I'm gonna replace story with context, right? So context, because context is a bit better. Because context, it's what contextualizes what you're doing in the game, right? Like what gives meaning to what you're doing in this game, right? In whatever game you're playing, right? And it doesn't need to be that deep. So again, let's go back to this here, right? And let's watch maybe the first minute or so, right? Such a good game.
Cortana, all I need to know is did we lose them?
I think we both know the answer to that.
So anyways, so that's an idea of like the vibe, right? Like the music, the visuals, even the dialogue immediately, like it grips your attention because you're like, oh, what are they talking about? Like what's happening, right? And then let's fast forward real quick. Here we have like the tutorial, right? And then hold on, towards the end of the tutorial.
Fire teams, report to defensive
Yeah,
positions
there you go.
Alpha through Sierra. Sensors show inbound.
All right.
Pt.2, this is Captain Key. Send the Master Chief to the bridge immediately.
Captain, we'll have to skip the weapons diagnostics and
On the double, crewman.
Aye, sir. The skipper seems jumpy. We'd better get moving. We'll find you weapons later.
Okay, I'll leave the self-diagnostics running at least.
Good idea. You'd better get to your evac group, Sam.
Affirmative. I just have to reset the computer and I'm out of here. Oh god, they're trying to get through the door. Security! Intruders! No!
Okay, so the guy playing is a fucking retard because like here you're supposed to see the aliens like shoot him, like blast through the door and everything, but this guy's a fucking retard. Now this is gonna explode. There you go. So now here you learn how to play the game, right? By jumping, by crouching, by going through shit, right? The music starts, right? Etc. Yeah, here you learn how to crouch. Now they're getting shot, but again, this guy's a fucking retard, so he's not paying attention. But like basically, he's basically speedrunning the game. But the idea is, the game is teaching you how to do stuff in a very intuitive way, right? In a very diegetic way, right? So what does that mean, right? Diegetic, right? Of sound in a movie, television, exactly, occurring within the context of the story and able to be heard by the characters. Okay. So this here, it's mainly used for sound or whatever, but typically the way this is used is to basically describe something that fits also on a meta level, right? Exactly, you get taught without noticing. That's the point, right? So diegetic stuff, right? Here's an example. Okay, hold on. Dead Space UI. Dead Space UI. Okay. So there you go, right? Like your health, you can see it in game, right? Your stasis, you can see it here. The ammo, the reticle, everything, right? So this is diegetic UI. This is a type of diegetic UI because basically, like, the UI is here to help the player, but it's also an actual thing in the game. You know what I mean? And so this is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying everything should always be diegetic and whatever. I'm really not saying that. What I'm saying is diegetic stuff is a good example of incorporating, of properly incorporating the gameplay and let's say the context in order to create an immersive experience, right? Because soul is the point creating an immersive experience, right? So that's what soul is, in my opinion, right? It's an immersive experience instead of a shitty experience. You know what I mean? Oops, there you go. And so the idea is you can create an immersive experience in a bunch of different ways, right? So here we have this, right? I'm gonna open up Steam and show you a bunch of other games that I have on Steam. So this is an example, right? This is like a big AAA game. Obviously it came out like more than 20 years ago, but the point remains that this is on like a good, proper, immersive experience in the context of a AAA game that was made during the golden age of AAA games, right? Now, I'm going to show you a bunch of examples of more indie games to show you how it can be done really easily. But how can I say, like, it can be done really easily with a smaller budget, and you don't need all of this artistry like cutscenes, professional orchestral music, stuff like that, right? So let me show you Thronefall. This is a small indie game made by Jonas Tyroller. He's a really good dev because he's a master of doing a lot with very little, right? So let me give you an example. I played 100% of Thronefall, etc., etc. So full game, walkthrough, PC, whatever. Yeah, let's say this, right? So this once again is it's fairly like the game is you control your king, and during the day you like build up your little kingdom or whatever, and during the night you get attacked, right? So let me give you an example. So here, you can build this, you can choose it, etc. And you only control your king, and everything else kind of happens automatically, right? And this is the next wave, 25 characters and everything, right? So hold on. Like that. Yeah, so now he's calling the wave. And again, this is like the first level, it's really basic and stuff, right? As you can see, that's the game. Super simple, it's cute, the visuals work, right? Like everything works, right? Now let's go to a more complex level. Let's say here, right? Now his town and castle and everything is much bigger, right? Much larger. You know, he's like upgrading and everything. Okay, let's wait for him to call the night. Okay, yeah. So now I guess this is like a boss battle or something, right? But this is the point, right? Like this is intuitive, this is fun, and like the experience it's creating is that you feel like you're really how can I say, like everything is simple, but it works, and it works in tandem with one another, right? To create an experience where you feel like the king of a kingdom, you're building your kingdom each day, you're surviving each night, and so it feels fulfilling, right? Like so this is like this game, if you guys have the chance, play it, study it. It's a really fun game, and it's a really good example of how to do games that how to keep to the what's it called, to the KISS principle. So let's write it here like that. The KISS, keep it simple and stupid, right? In the sense that it's simple, it's intuitive, but there's depth to it, right? Because you can build a bunch of different buildings, choosing which building to build first. For instance, like, are you going to build another tower for the next night, or are you going to take a risk and build like a farm to make more money the next day? Stuff like that, right? And then there's also kingdoms and castles, right? Yeah, which allow you to build like a big city like that, right? I spent 500 years building a perfect dragon empire, right? So let's look at this.
Kingdoms and Castles is one of those games I'm always looking for an excuse to come back to and do something absolutely stupid.
There you go.
Still trying to decide what we're going to do over here.
So let's look at the way
Farming sections are so dedicated. I like how all of our other housing
So
areas
again, the fantasy of this game, like this game literally has no story, right? Yet I would say that it has a perfect blend of context and gameplay, in the sense that the gameplay is to build a city in order for the city to look pretty, and the context is kind of the fact that like there's no story. The fact that there's no story actually helps this game. You know what I mean? Because you have the freedom to build your city however you want to build it, right? So again, like I could go on and show you guys more and more examples, but this is the idea, right? Like this is the idea I'm going with, and this is how I choose to design my games, right? And the thing, to go back to this, right? It's that, hold on. Here, it's that another problem that a lot of people, that a lot of game designers and game developers do, is that they box themselves in into a specific genre, right? And this kind of goes along with the first thing I wanted to mention, which is that people, for instance, like the game I'm currently making is a strategy game, right? But as I've mentioned a few times already, it's like I have a bunch of different mechanics in this game that have nothing to do with strategy game mechanics, right? And a lot of people would look at this and be like, well, then like your game's not a real strategy game, or you're why would you add such a mechanic? That makes no sense. That has nothing to do with strategy games and everything. It's like, who cares? Like, if the mechanic works and it's fun and it adds to the, if it adds to the experience of the game in order to make it even more immersive, then that's good. You know what I mean? That's how I see things, right? But a lot of people don't see things. So the way I plan on like adding mechanics to our platform, right? Like, because yesterday's stream was called Making a Platformer Part 1. Today it's Making a Platformer Part 2. I plan on adding a bunch of mechanics to show you guys different mechanics, how to make them, but to also show you how you can combine a bunch of different genres in order to make something really interesting, right? Like, because again, let's press play and look at this, right? We have a character here that like moves and rotates and stuff like that, right? So this right now looks a lot like a Mario game where like you're moving and like if you stomp on the enemy, it's gonna do damage and a bunch of different stuff like that, right? But then I added, as I showed yesterday, I added a bunch of mech controls in order to, let's press play again for me to show it, in order for the torso and the legs to be moving, to be rotating independently, right? Like I can rotate like that, and then once I press forward, then it rotates, right? Like that, for instance, right? So already I have controls that are typically more available in games like mecha games, right? So what I could do, for instance, is let's open this up here. Hold on. Vampire Survivors. Sure. Hold on. So what's the gameplay of this game? You're just moving around and doing damage automatically and whatever, right? And how many? So Steam revenue calculator, Vampire Survivors. This game, Steam revenue calculator, which is not, it's never an exact number, but it says that this game made $12 million and its price is fucking $3. You know what I mean? Such a simple game. All you do realistically is just control the direction in which your character is moving, and everything else happens automatically, and then all you do is select a bunch of different upgrades, right? So it's like, what stops me from adding a similar mechanic to this, right? Of like adding a bunch of enemies that are constantly spawning, and the goal is to see how long I survive by like jumping around and stuff like that. But like, I don't need to aim or whatever. Maybe I want to aim, right? Maybe I want to add a bit more skill to the game and make me have to aim towards the enemies or whatever, right? But you see what I mean, right? So basically what I'm saying is that my method of designing a game is centered around creating an experience that properly blends story/context, right? So like story/context and gameplay in order to create an immersive experience that is meaningful and that doesn't feel like you as the player are wasting your time, right? And so this is the part I said it was gonna last. It was gonna take 5 or 10 minutes. I ended up going on a bunch of tangents, including this creature. Jesus, right? But all of this is to explain the way I do things generally and stuff. Typically, my streams are about 2.5 hours. I've almost been streaming for 2 hours today, and I have to work on my game. So basically, probably for the next 15 to 30 minutes, I'm gonna try to quickly add a few mechanics using collisions, right? Because this is the thing we've been using the most of, right? So I'm gonna be using collisions here, and then we're gonna see where we go from there, right? So again, like this part here isn't working properly. I'm gonna try to fix it later on, maybe during the week or whatever, and then like next Saturday I'm gonna revisit this and show you guys the solution I found, assuming I find a solution. And for now I'm gonna add some really basic mechanics, right? So let's say and again, like if you guys have any suggestions, let me know, like if you want to see a specific mechanic, right? So let's see. So let's see. Let's add something we're going to call. You could probably add a mini wait timer for changing the can attack boolean equals false update so that it could fix the problem that is occurring. I think the code you have is going too fast. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to try this, but before trying this, I'm going to try this at the very end of the stream so that if it works, we can end on a high note. But for now, I'm just going to add some kind of like jump pad or something like that, right? Like a type of jumping like platform thing or whatever, right? So it's going to be jump jump zone. That's what we're gonna call it. Oh, there we go. All right, so let's see. Attack. Wait, so where was the player attack manager? Can attack equals true. So when it's false, okay, and hold on. Actually, since we're in the code and while the other thing is loading, I'm just gonna do public float player attack reset timer f. There we go. And then public float player attack reset time elapsed f equals, okay. And then player attack if elapsed reset timer is lower than timer attack reset timer, we're just gonna do reset elapsed plus equals time dot delta time, okay. And then so player attack reset time elapsed, else if attack reset time elapsed is greater or equal to timer f, wait, and can attack bool equals true, then can attack equals false. So let's try Silver Sterling's solution. There, we're going to erase this. I assume, again, I'm doing things very quickly here, but I assume you guys have gotten kind of used to a lot of these basic things to be able to like figure out what I'm doing in real time without me having to explain it in detail and really take my time, right? Like, if that's not the case, let me know and I'm gonna go a bit slower, right? It's just that, again, I'm assuming that you guys are starting to get used to it, right? And for anybody watching the VOD, like, feel free to again, like, leave feedback, comments, questions, whatever. And I'm gonna link once again the Discord server at the end of the stream in the stream chat. So open the stream chat replay to see like the Discord server invitation. Okay, and here we did wait, reset timer time elapsed minus equals reset timer. There you go. Okay, so now what's going to happen here is that the moment this is lower than this, it's going to run, and then once it's the same or greater, it's going to do this. Let's see if this is going to work. All right. Oh fuck, god damn it. Hold on, I didn't set this up properly, so let's say 0.5 seconds. Oh yeah, right, because I couldn't attack yet. I'm stupid. Player attack cooldown. Can attack. Hold on. Oh fuck. Hold on. No, exactly. I need to add one tiny last little thing here. It's public bool reset player attack. equals false. Okay, so this is how we're gonna do it. We're going back down to here, and we're going to do if reset player attack equals true, then we're going to move this inside of this. Can attack bool equals false, reset player attack equals false as well. And yeah, and this is what we're going to do here, and then reset player attack equals true. I've renamed this just in case. Okay, now let's see if this is going to work properly. Come on. All right. So now we're gonna have to wait 10 seconds before we can do proper damage. All right. Here you can see the countdown. There you go. Perfect. Well, Silver Sterling, you're the MVP. You're today's MVP. Oh, hold on. There you go. And now we're just yeah, there. Perfect. Okay, it works perfectly. Amazing. Wow. Round for applause for Silver Sterling. Hold on. Let me just clap the clap emoji. There you go. MVP. All right. See, this is the thing. Like, I've been coding on my own for like more than 5 years now, and I still do stupid fucking mistakes like these. I had to do such things for the beat 'em up game I've been making. Ooh, that's cool. I hope like whenever you're ready, let me know. I'll try to make noise about it and like tell people about it. So where were we? Yes, making a jump zone. All right, you're all my best man. I don't pick favorites. Although Silver Sterling carried. All right, so let's do this. Okay. Vars, so variables for accessing other scripts. Okay. And here we're going to do private player manager script. All right. And then hold on, let me just go back up to here. What did I need? Where's the jump force? Jump height, jump force, gravity scale. Let's grab all three of these because these, nope, no, not this. These are what I need. I need the player manager object. Yeah, with the right vector. Jump. Okay. So, oops, fuck. Hold on. Jump zone. Let's copy paste these. So, vars that will affect player movement. Okay, so jump height, jump force, etc., etc. And then here we're going to do another on trigger enter, like that. And here player manager. This is something I personally do. I just go back to like my other scripts and just copy paste because like I'm not gonna waste time with stuff like this. Player. So whenever player enters a jump zone, he will be shot up into the sky. There you go, right? Whenever player enters a jump zone, he will be shot up into the sky. All right, and then what was the code again? There you go. Oh yeah, and here I guess this wasn't the issue, clearly. So let's just put this back up like that. There you go. So now let's just do this. Okay, so let's first player manager script equals get component. Wait, no. Equals other dot get component. Yeah, there you go. That's better. Like that. And then here we just do this like that. Like that. So add force. Yeah, this is a bit long. All right. I zoomed out a bit just for this to be a bit easier to read. Let me know if this is still like easy to see or if you'd like me to zoom back in. Right? There you go. So, exactly. So now, in theory, when the player connects with this, it's going to propulse the player up, right? So let's see. Here, let's have a 3D object. Let's make it a cube. Let's make it a trigger. And let's lower its size to here like that. Like that. And then make it 2.5 by 2.5. Okay. And now that we're starting to get a bunch of different objects, right? And everything is like pale or whatever. Let me just show you guys how to make materials. Just to make everything a bit easier to see, right? So first we're going to save the project. And then we're going to go here into the assets. I have materials here, double click, it's empty. Here in create material, right above mono behavior script, right below folder, material. So player material, or just mat for material. And let's say the player is going to be light blue like that, right? So hold on, let's just go here like that. Or actually, let's rename this to player torso material. There you go. Now let's create another material. And these are very basic. Like here you can start doing a bunch of other fancy stuff, but honestly, I'm not really going to go too much into detail for this because for my game personally, I'm using asset packs that have pre-made materials, so I don't really fuck around with these things too much. But if you want, you can like go on this Unity API or on YouTube and stuff, and like, or even ChatGPT and ask it what each thing does, and it's gonna explain a lot, right? But like here, for instance, you can change whether it's opaque or transparent. If it's transparent, you can choose, you can still make it fully opaque, or you can make it somewhat transparent or completely invisible, etc., right? So here we're going to have player legs material. We're going to make them, let's say, some sort of orange. Or actually, hold on. Let's have some fun. Gundam. Robots. Okay, there you go. All right. Let's have something like this, right? So it has a lot of white, red, and black. Okay. So let's hold on. Let's white, red, and black. All right. So we're gonna have the legs be red like that. So player red material, player white material. Let's make it completely white. There you go. Let's go with this. So let's say that's our player, right? Then since the player is red, or I guess, fuck it, let's make the player blue. Or whatever, just because it's typically a more friendlier color. Let's rename this to player blue material. Then let's create an enemy material. Enemy red material, and this we're gonna make completely red, and we're just gonna drag and drop on the player character. Then let's say for the jump button, the jump zone rather, let's make it jump zone material, and let's make it some sort of, I don't know, like piss yellow, right? There you go. And then I guess the ground, we can leave it like that, or maybe we're gonna make the ground black. So ground, or like terrain material, and we're gonna make it some sort of dark gray. Right, there you go, there you go. All right, that was very quick. I hope they're called mobile suits. Yeah, I've never watched Gundam, but I do like the color scheme. All right, so there you go, like that. So now let's see, like that, right? Oh wait, the jump zone is not ready, so now let's rename it jump zone. And now let's go back to here to our script, click this jump zone script, drag and drop it here. Jump height, let's say jump height 20. Jump force doesn't matter because it's gonna get updated. And this, let's say gravity scale 2, or actually 1. Let's put it at 1 again, like that. And now I think it's gonna shoot me up way up in the air, right? Yep, there you go. It shot me way up in the air, and now we're not moving technically. There you go. See? Now let's make things a bit more interesting, okay? Let's say instead of because the script is called jump zone, it's gonna stay that way, right? It's just a name I came up with, but I should have renamed it propulsion zone, right? So actually, again, this is me. Like right now, you're gonna see why it's taken me years to make my games, because I'm such a perfectionist that just having the wrong name bothers me, right? So now what I'm gonna do, because I'm fucked in the head, I'm gonna copy all of this, right? Then I'm going to create a new script, mono behavior script called propulsion zone, right? Or maybe boost zone. No, propulsion zone. We're gonna keep it like that. Yeah. You're gonna see my tism in action, okay? So now I have propulsion zone here. Then we're going to, there you go, do this. All right, now it's compiling. And then we're gonna remove this. Because I'm fucked in the head, right? And now you're gonna see what happens when you remove a script. So now we have this script. Now here on the right hand side, you can see, oh, we still have jump zone, but now it says, oh, an error occurred, blah, 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 because the file doesn't exist anymore. Now here, whenever you remove a script, be very fucking careful, because the component still exists, but you see here, it's giving us an error because the component exists, but the reference it had doesn't exist anymore, right? So now here, what I could do is just give it a new reference, or I can delete it and just drag and drop the propulsion zone thing, okay? Let's do this. We did 20 like that. Here it doesn't matter, and multiply by 1. Okay. So now, instead of doing this, what we're gonna do is we're going to replace hold on. What I want to do is I want to make the propulsion zone shoot the player towards its up direction, right? So what we're going to do here is, let's say, add a public vector3 called prop zone target direction. Okay, like that. And then here, the propulsion zone target direction. What we're going to do is at the very start, it's prop zone target direction equals transform dot up, let's say, okay? Transform dot up, okay? Now here you're like, well, wait a minute, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this transform? This is when you just write transform like that without anything else, it's automatically gonna take the transform of whatever object this script is attached to. So in this case, it's going to take the transform of the jump zone itself, right? There you go. So now if I press play here, if you look at the bottom right where it says prop zone target direction, this is going to go from 0, 0, 0 to 0, 1, 0. Assuming it's gonna actually play soon. See, it went 0, 1, 0. There you go. So now what I'm gonna do is a bit of wacky stuff. So again, I'm gonna select the jump zone. I'm going to control D. So control plus but yeah, control plus D is to duplicate. Okay, so now I've duplicated this, and now I'm gonna raise it, let's say, oh no, that's way too high. That's way too high. Let's bring it like that. Okay, and let's turn it 90 degrees. Nope, not in this direction. Minus 90, because again, reminder that the Z axis is like this, right? All right, so 90. So now its up is facing this way. Now we're going to change the way it looks to be basically 2.5, or let's say 5, like that, right? And then here we're going to do 0.5. Okay, now then I'm going to duplicate this again. I'm gonna move it here, right? And now I'm going to change this back up like that, change this back up to 0.5, and change this to minus 180. So now in theory what it should do, okay, if you look carefully, it's that we're gonna walk up on this is going to shoot us up here, and this is supposed to shoot us up here, and this is supposed to shoot us down here. Now, I've never tested this. I have absolutely no idea if it's gonna work or not, but let's try it, right? Fuck it. And I think we're gonna end the stream on this, because I think you guys kind of get the gist. Okay, so hold on. Oh, and another thing I'm gonna show. Well, I can't properly look because of the restrictions I've put. So hold on. Let me just change this to max pitch. Let's say 90. Let's say minus 15, and here let's say 75. Right? There you go. All right, hold on. Okay, now we can look. Well, hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go into the code for my game. Okay, hold on. Where? Okay, player input. Amazing. Where is? Ah, there it is. Okay. So as you've noticed, okay, so far every time I press play in Unity, you can still see my cursor, right? And so it prevents me from properly looking up because it gets blocked by this screen, or properly looking down or sideways or whatever, right? So what I'm gonna do, and I've been meaning to do this but I keep forgetting, is to show you the code to lock the cursor. So here we're just gonna put in void start, just because why not? But like in my own game, hold on, there you go. It's gonna be lock the cursor. Here it's cursor lock mode dot locked, and then visible false. God damn it. False. There you go. So what this is gonna do, again, void start only happens once. What this is gonna do is it's going to prevent my cursor from moving, right? Because it's locked, and then make it invisible, right? Or actually, if we want, we can just disable this so that we can see that my cursor is invisible. It is visible, but that it's locked, is what I mean. There you go. Let's go with this. Well, what the fuck? Ah, okay, there you go. See? So now I can like properly look at stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, well, I still can't look that far up, but anyways, let's just, oh, not, wait, what? Game dev tutorials, okay, yeah. Visible, false, okay, anyways, there you go. I think having cursor mode unlocked automatically makes it invisible. I think that's what happened, but anyways. Okay, so let's say, oh, max pitch, minimum pitch, vertical rotation. So let me just make sure how far up you can look. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's put this at 90 to be able to properly look up directly above me. Okay, well, it's still not letting me. God damn it. Yeah, well, whatever. Okay, here we can look up like that. All right. So, all right, sorry for for doing it so anticlimactically. Okay, but now we're gonna test it, okay? Nope. Oh, because maybe it went too fast. Oh, that's what I think happened. Or no, actually it double shot me high into space. Yeah. Because hold on, let's fuck. Hold on. Yeah. It double boosts me. Okay. Huh. Because it's probably using the global stuff. Yeah, it's double boosting me. All right. So let's go back to propulsion zone. Oh wait, no, because I'm fucking retarded because I didn't change this. Jesus. V3. Bro, I'm so stupid. Sometimes. Add force. There you go. Jesus. Man. Again, it's always the most basic shit that. Because you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is so easy. This is so basic. So you kind of half-ass the job. And then you just forget to like complete it. It's like, I remember there was this one time about a year ago where I was struggling for almost a week to make something work. And when I say a week, I don't mean a week of full time, like not an actual 40 hours of work time, but maybe a solid like 5 to 10 hours when I would come home from work trying to figure stuff out. Because back then I was working way more often than I am right now. Because right now I'm trying to maximize how much time I can spend working on my game and doing these videos and stuff. And basically, this 10-hour problem of like, why the fuck is my code not working? It's because I forgot to add the rigid body to whatever it is that I was trying to make work. So for like 10 hours, I was trying to figure shit out until I realized I just forgot to add the rigid body. So I'm telling you guys, like the key to properly programming is to use your brain and to remember to not half-ass things, right? Let's see if I up the pitch to like 180. No, it's still fucking limited. Whatever. Fuck it. Alright. Okay, let's see now. Moment of truth. Hey! There you go. Ah! Alright. Alright, so let's move this like that. So it worked. It worked. There you go. That's amazing. Nice. Well, there you go. So technically yesterday I feel like we did a few more mechanics. Today it was a more how can I say, like yesterday we introduced more new mechanics. Today it was more like polishing in a sense, right? And so probably for next week what I'm going to do is I'm going to think of a bunch of different mechanics that I could add, right? Like maybe starting to make the enemies move, right? Doing a more like a better way of dealing damage to enemies, of enemies dealing damage to us, right? Like, but still keeping it basic, right? Like the original Mario games, which were like let's see. Coding while dads be bro, what the fuck are these? This is the Eastern European thing. Hold on. You guys are about to witness my childhood. And every Eastern European's childhood.
Максим, я тебе куда казав? Ехать!
За хлібом, а чо?
Так а що ти сидиш? Давай пошуршав бігом.
Все, їду, блін.
Максим,
Пап.
где? Хлеб!
Да сейчас езжу, ты
Ты что,
забодал.
непонятливый, я жрать хочу, где хлеб, давай езжай бегом.
So stupid. This is so stupid. Smacks his head on the desk, still coding. This is the dev you can count on. He fixed the button in one of those hits with his head. Yep. AI can't replace him. Yep. Jesus. So you're gonna be working with nav meshes for the enemy AI? For now, no. because I haven't done nav meshes in maybe 3 or 4 years. But eventually, I'm probably gonna start using nav meshes. But for now, what I'm gonna do is, hold on. So you see how, basically, when we collided with this, it shot us up and then shot us this way and then this way, right? So it did like boom, 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 right? What I'm gonna do, like again, to keep things simple for now, is I'm not gonna introduce nav meshes yet, but instead I'm going to create invisible objects like these. And so, for instance, let's say like here the enemy, right? I'm going to program it to just move forward. And then whenever it interacts with one of these invisible objects, it's gonna just change direction, right? And so if I wanted to move in like a square pattern, well, I'm just gonna have 4 objects and then the AI is just gonna move like that, right? Like I'm gonna keep things basic for now. And as I said, like every stream, I'm gonna start adding more and more mechanics and make the game more and more complex, just to show people. Because the thing is, you don't want, in my opinion, I don't think it's wise to go super complex immediately, because I'm gonna lose people, I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong. Like let me know, guys. Like let me know if you'd be down for more and more complex stuff, right? But the idea is I'm gonna start adding. So what I'm thinking of doing is adding so basic enemy AI. Hold on. Basic enemy AI. Exactly, like keep it simple and stupid. Exactly. So basic enemy AI. Basically, hold on. This is the reason why I went on YouTube to begin with. Wait, is this from Synthetic Man? Yeah. Hold on. Fuck, I keep getting distracted.
Think you could pull me up, or...
No, I don't think I will.
This is the best character.
I am profoundly unimpressed. I suppose I should expect.
We all are, Heimdall.
From half-breeds.
Don't call me a half-breed.
And what are you going to do exactly?
Respect women.
You toddlers are...
It's amazing.
Boring. Oh, no.
Yeah, alright. Yeah, I think while navmesh usage is worthwhile in the long run, exactly. At this point, it can be a bit complicated for what you're going for. Yeah, exactly. So, just to go back to this, this is how fucking distracting YouTube is. So, original Mario game, right? Yeah, okay, there you go. So, yeah, okay. So some really basic shit, right? So basically, for now, I'm going with a 3D version of these game mechanics, right? Like, you're moving, you can hit stuff. If you're below it, maybe it's gonna unlock some sort of, what's it called? Some sort of power up. The enemy AI are moving in like a simple direction and whatever, right? Yeah, there you go. Right, so for now I'm going with something basic like that. So basic enemy AI, let's say basic movement modifiers, propulsion zone. Then what else? Okay, so we're gonna do this like that. Yeah, hold on. So basic enemy AI, basic movement modifiers, more player mechanics, example, new attack, example. What else? power up system. And maybe also like a game over screen, right? So like game over state, right? I'm not saying I'm necessarily going to do all of these things in the next like 4 or 5 hours of streaming that we're going to have next week. But the idea in general is going to be something like that, right? It's going to be to start slowly adding these things and then like adding more and more mechanics on top of these things. So eventually transforming the basic AI into not so basic, right? You know, like doing a bunch of other stuff like that, right? So game over state, whatever. So for now, like off the top of my head, these are the ones that come to mind. If you guys have other ideas that you'd like to see, like Silver Sterling mentioned nav mesh, you know, so other people might be interested in other things, right? So like enemy spawners, you know, etc., right? So let me guys know. Again, I'm gonna go and switch channels at me, discord.com. All right, I'm gonna post the link to the server in the chat. There you go. So if you guys have any more suggestions, anything you'd like to see in particular, well, for instance, stuff like enemy site. So let's say advanced enemy AI. So basic enemy AI is repetitive movement patterns, right? For instance, advanced enemy AI would be like line of sight, etc. Right? So that is probably not going to be next weekend, but eventually, once we get into more advanced stuff, it's going to be stuff like that, right? Basic animation could be interesting just to show how it works, like door opening, etc. Yeah, okay. So for animation, I'm not gonna do it next weekend because once again I'm a bit rusty. But by the time we get to like nav mesh animation, more advanced enemy AI, then I'm gonna show you guys animation. Because the thing is, with animation, initially I'm going to show you guys the basics, but eventually I'm going to show you guys a script that I had managed to invent on my own. That was even before AI, right? So that was even before like I had the help of ChatGPT and stuff like that for the more complex stuff. But basically this script allowed me to detect when an animation is over and like change a bunch of stuff through script, which typically that's not how you do it. But again, all of this is gonna make sense once we get there, right? So yeah, so basically I'm gonna start adding all of these things little by little. We're gonna start with like basic enemy AI, basic movement modifiers, more player mechanics, power-up system, a game over state, enemy spawners, etc., etc. Not necessarily in this order. We're just gonna go however it makes sense to add them. And I know that today was more of a theoretical stream where I mostly fixed bugs and did stuff like that, but like basically that's generally how the streams are gonna go, right? They're gonna be like we're gonna learn new stuff, then we're gonna like apply that new stuff and fix the bugs and everything. Then we're gonna learn a bunch of more new stuff, and then we're gonna apply that stuff. Then we're gonna learn new stuff, etc., right? And the idea is that eventually, like instead of doing it like that, it's gonna be like that basically, right? So it's gonna be going up basically, you know? In terms of, let's say this here is our knowledge, right? Like knowledge or whatever, and this here is time, right? So this here is knowledge. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's the idea. So yeah, so this is the plan for the next couple of streams. Again, I'm not sure how it's going to pan out or whatever, but we're gonna go like, you know, we have no crystal roof. Yeah, so we're gonna go like step by step, you know, like maybe I'm gonna start first. I think I'm gonna go with basic enemy AI, like repetitive movement patterns. Then I'm gonna do an enemy spawner, then maybe more player mechanics, then basic movement modifiers, etc., etc., right? Like little by little we're gonna add stuff, and I'm also gonna start like showing you guys like proper level design and everything like that, right? So that's the plan. Again, thank you for attending today's stream. Again, I'm still shocked at how consistent you guys have been. Like I'm really like humbled by this, and like I'm really thankful and grateful. And I hope these have been enjoyable. I hope you guys have been actually learning, and that this was like that I'm not like just talking in the void and you guys are just like pretending to understand or whatever. Like I really hope that these have been useful for you guys, because my idea with these streams, because again, let's go back to what I kept saying. Well, actually, let's show the Discord channel right here in Game Dev Resources, right? This guy over here, his tutorials are legit really fucking good, right? Like they're incredibly good, his tutorials, and his website is also super fucking good and everything, right? And so if you want the really professional shit, use his stuff. And also when you're not sure what something does, go over here and use this, right? Use the API. Like let's say you want to do some sort of rotation. Well, just write rotation, pose rotation, random rotation, rigid body rotation, transform dot rotation. Okay, so let's say rotate dot none, rotate, transform dot rotate. Okay, let's click this. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, blah blah blah. They have examples of code, etc., etc. So like combine this guy's tutorials with the more technical knowledge here. Whenever you're down to like practice for your own projects and whatever. And hold on, fuck, I'm like spacing out again. Yes, okay, yes. And my intention with this is that this is the more professional, more technical stuff, right? Like these two things here. But the tutorials I'm making, or I guess the streams I'm making, it's to really show people, like give people the stuff I wish I had, right? The type of direct, informal understanding of how things work, and to really look at things in depth at how they work in order to get a feel for how to do game dev, right? Because if you're just watching tutorials, you don't really get the feel of it. Whereas when you're looking at someone bug fixing in real time and whatever, at least for me, it gives me a better idea of like, oh, okay, so this is what game dev actually looks like. You know what I mean? And like eventually, like as Silver Sterling mentioned, we're gonna do like fancier stuff like nav meshes, you know, which is like more advanced AI, like nav mesh, etc. We're gonna do animations. Eventually, I'm also gonna start showing you guys Blender and a bunch of other tools like these. But that's probably gonna be like way later on, like I don't want to give a date, but it's going to be like once we're done with all of this, that's when we're going to get into the more visual aspect of things, right? And like doing visual effects and other stuff like that, right? So yeah, so that's the plan. Again, I'm really glad that you guys think these streams are great. If you have any feedback, if you want to know something more specific or whatever, let me know. And if not, well, I mean, I'll see you guys next time. again, thanks for attending, and have a good weekend, and see you next Saturday, boys. Take care. Love you. Kiss, kiss.